Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling drained, confused, or somehow less than you were before, as if someone had subtly stolen a piece of your vital energy, leaving you with a fog of self-doubt? It's a strange and unsettling feeling. These people aren't always overtly hostile. In fact, they can be friends, colleagues, even family members. They are the psychic vampires, the invisible thieves of our mental clarity and emotional strength. But what if this wasn't just a vague feeling? What if I told you that the legendary psychologist, Dr. Carl Jung, one of the deepest thinkers of the 20th century, identified specific types of people who pose a direct threat to your mental and spiritual well-being? And more importantly, what if I told you that the ancient Stoics, the undisputed masters of the mind, left us the exact blueprint to build an impenetrable defense against them? This isn't just a list of people to avoid. This is a guide to reclaiming your power. This is the journey to building an unshakable inner citadel. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn is a true game changer. This invisible battlefield is fought every day, not with swords, but with words, expectations, and subtle manipulations. You might find yourself constantly justifying your decisions to someone who always plays the victim. Perhaps you feel your creative spark dim after a conversation with a relentless critic. You start to second-guess your own instincts. Your goals, which once seemed so clear and bright, now appear foolish or out of reach. Your emotional state, which you strive to keep steady, begins to feel like a roller coaster controlled by someone else's hands. This is the real danger. It's not a single argument. It's a slow erosion of your self-trust and your personal power. Carl Jung had a profound concept for this: the shadow. He believed that we all have a dark, unacknowledged side of our personality. And these dangerous people? They are often defined by their inability to face their own shadow. Instead, they project it outwards. They see their own flaws, their own insecurities, their own bitterness in you. When you interact with them, you are not dealing with a whole person. You are wrestling with their unowned darkness. And if you're not prepared, that darkness can easily become your own burden. So, here is our strategy for this journey. We will first use the brilliant diagnostic lens of Carl Jung to identify these 6 dangerous archetypes, to see them clearly for what they are. Then, for each one, we will equip ourselves with the shield and sword of Stoic philosophy. We will learn not just how to defend ourselves, but how to remain centered and strong in their presence. The great Stoic teacher Epictetus gave us the foundational weapon for this fight over 2,000 years ago. He said, "The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control." Let this sink in. This is your superpower. You cannot control their past, their traumas, or the shadows they refuse to face. But you have absolute sovereign control over your judgments, your reactions, and the state of your inner world. You control the gates to your mind. We are not learning to change them. We are learning to make ourselves impervious to their influence. Let's begin. Let's unmask these archetypes. First, we have the perpetual victim. This is the person for whom nothing is ever their fault. Life is a constant conspiracy against them. They expertly use blame and guilt as their currency, making you feel responsible for their unhappiness. Jung would see this as a complete refusal to integrate the shadow of personal responsibility. Your Stoic defense is rational empathy. The Stoics were not unfeeling. You can listen and acknowledge their pain by saying, "That sounds incredibly difficult." But you must refuse to accept the emotional burden they try to hand you. Remind yourself, as Marcus Aurelius did, to look at things as they are and not be carried away by the appearance. Their suffering is their perception, not your responsibility to solve. Next, archetype number 2, the unaccountable critic. This person offers constant, unsolicited criticism, often disguised as helpful advice or brutal honesty. They judge your choices, your dreams, your life. Jung would say they are projecting their own fear of failure and feelings of inadequacy onto you. By tearing you down, they momentarily feel bigger. Your Stoic defense is the shield of indifference. Remember Epictetus. If you are ever told that someone is speaking ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, "He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone." Their opinion is an external. It has no power unless you grant it power. See their words for what they are, reflections of their own inner turmoil, not a true measure of your worth. Third, we encounter the gossip monger. This person thrives on the stories and secrets of others. They create a false sense of intimacy by sharing confidential information. Jung would view this as a way to avoid the terrifying emptiness of their own inner life. They live through the drama of others because their own world lacks substance. Your Stoic defense is the vow of silence. Simply refuse to participate. When they begin to gossip, offer a neutral, disengaging response like, "I see," or gently change the subject. The Stoics valued purposeful speech. As Seneca advised, associate with those who will improve you. Gossip pollutes the mind and distracts you from what truly matters, your own character. Fourth, and perhaps the most dangerous archetype, the narcissistic manipulator. They are charming, charismatic, but utterly lacking in empathy. You exist only as an extension of their needs, a source of admiration, or a tool to be used. Jung saw this as an inflated ego, a god complex that masks a deeply fragile and empty self. Your Stoic defense is the gray rock method. You become as boring and unresponsive as a gray rock. No emotional reactions, no arguments, no praise. You give them nothing for their ego to feed on. You use logic and reason, not emotion. This is the ultimate Stoic practice of maintaining your inner calm, your apatheia, when faced with a psychological storm. You protect your inner citadel by making it an uninteresting target. Fifth on our list is the overly dependent friend. This person clings to you for all their emotional support, decision-making, and sense of self-worth. They create a suffocating codependency. Jung would see this as a failure of the individuation process, the journey to becoming a whole, independent self. They are trying to merge with you instead of finding themselves. Your Stoic defense is benevolent detachment. You can be a friend, but you cannot be a crutch. Your role is not to carry them, but to inspire them to walk on their own. Set clear, rational boundaries. Say, "I trust your judgment to make that decision," or "I can't talk right now, but I have faith in you." You are helping them by forcing them to develop the faculties the Stoics cherished: self-reliance and reason. And finally, archetype number 6, the dream-killing pessimist. Every time you share an exciting idea or a new goal, they are the first to tell you why it won't work. "That's too risky. Are you sure you can do that?" They poison your enthusiasm with their own fear and cynicism. Jung would say they are trapped by their own limitations, and cannot bear to see you transcend yours. Your Stoic defense is to guard your flame. The Stoics knew that our inner fire, our ambition, our will, our harm is precious. Do not share your most sacred plans with those who will only pour water on them. Surround yourself with people who share your values. And when you do encounter the pessimist, simply smile, thank them for their perspective, and silently reaffirm your own path. Their reality is not your destiny. Identifying them is the first step. That is knowledge. But as Seneca said, it is not knowing that the application of knowledge, that is wisdom. Building your immunity is the true game changer. Here is your 3-step action plan. First, practice the Stoic Pause. When you feel that familiar draining sensation, when you recognize one of these archetypes in action, pause. Before you speak, before you react, take one deep breath. In that sacred space, ask yourself 2 questions. Is this within my control? And what would a rational, virtuous response be? This single habit will save you from countless emotional traps. Second, set rational boundaries. Boundaries are not emotional walls built out of anger. They are logical fences built out of self-respect. Learn to say no, calmly and firmly, without a long apology. I'm not able to discuss that, or I need to focus on my own priorities right now. It is not your job to manage their reaction to your boundaries. Your job is to uphold them. Third, and most importantly, the nightly psychic hygiene routine. This is non-negotiable for a strong mind. Before you sleep, as you program your subconscious for the next day, take 5 minutes. Review the day's interactions. Ask yourself, was my inner peace disturbed by another today? Did I mistake someone else's shadow for my own problem? Mentally release any negative energy you may have absorbed. Forgive them for their ignorance and reaffirm your own internal strength. This practice cleanses the mind and fortifies it for the battles to come. Protecting yourself from these dangerous archetypes is not an act of selfishness. It is a fundamental responsibility on your journey of growth, what Jung called the path of individuation. You cannot become the whole, powerful, and serene person you are meant to be if you allow others to constantly siphon your energy and dictate your emotional state. Your inner peace is your most valuable asset. Guard it like a Stoic warrior guards a fortress. It is the source of your creativity, your resilience, and your joy. Remember, this is a practice. You will not be perfect. You will sometimes get drawn in. The goal is progress, not perfection. Each time you recognize an archetype and choose a Stoic response, you strengthen the walls of your inner citadel. You become more unshakable. In the comments below, share which of these archetypes you've encountered the most. You are not alone in this fight, and sharing your experience strengthens our entire community. If this guide was valuable on your journey, please show your support by hitting the like button and subscribe to join us for more transformative wisdom. And be sure to watch our playlist on building unshakable resilience to further fortify your mind for whatever life throws your way. Thank you for walking this path with us. Stay strong and stay stoic.